Begin in Robstown, a city where flooding seems to happen just about any time there is significant rainfall. And there certainly has been plenty of that lately. Nueces County Commissioners held a town hall gathering tonight aimed at letting residents know what's being done to make the high water go away. Our Taylor Adenise is just back from Robstown with more on this top story. Taylor?
Yeah, Joe, the meeting included several agencies like the city, county, and the drainage district. One of the biggest topics tonight, of course, citywide flooding.
They keep elevating the roads and they never increase the number of culverts, the size of culverts. They leave the old culverts. They never get cleaned out. And so what we have is standing water whenever we have these major floods.
Precinct 3 Commissioner John Mattis says many times what's clogging the waterways is a result of illegal dumping. He says the county has to work on enforcement and creating substations so people are more willing to unload there. When it comes to flooding, Mattis says water doesn't respect any boundary, city or county, so it's important to get every agency together to talk about ways to prevent flooding. And he believes a solution, especially for rural areas, is a county-wide drainage system.
There's been initial talks, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to do that as the end of the year comes, and that we'll be ready for the legislative session in January, that we can, as a whole, can maybe get this created and also try to find some funding to help us get started.
The big message that these agencies wanted to let the public know is that they are in constant communication with one another to improve the county's roads and land, and they also want to hear from the public so they can address any concerns. Commissioner Mattis says they will continue having these meetings with the public in the next coming months. Joe.
Okay, Taylor, thank you.